The Milky Way galaxy is home to over 100 billion stars, each one just as unique as the next. And that means that each one of those stars has a unique view of our particular galaxy as they spin at tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of miles per hour around our galactic center. They all get their own view of what life is like in our universe. Now, the Milky Way galaxy just so happens to be home to our own local solar system. This is our home for planet Earth, and that planet actually hosts upwards of 7 billion humans. So just like the stars in outer space that might live in a beautiful rainbow-colored nebula, or might be in a busy neighborhood, or live in the deepest, darkest galactic void, all of us humans have a different view of planet Earth. And when we all look up, we all have a unique view of the galaxy and of the universe itself. And I think that that is worth experiencing as many of those perspectives as possible. I call this idea the galactic window. And tonight we're going to be bringing on a special guest to give us their own perspective of the galaxy, of the universe, and of the night sky. So without further ado, welcome to the Galactic Window podcast. Let's take a look inside that galactic window. My name is Nick, and this channel here is the Orbital Alliance. Welcome on into the chat. Feel free to engage in tonight's stream as we have a wonderful discussion with our guests that I'll bring in here shortly. This is episode 2 of the Galactic Window. This is sort of a new thing for me. I used to do live streams here on the channel about space and astrophotography, and that's mostly what my channel is about. But the thing is that after doing months of those on end, realizing that most people who are watching see me in all my videos anyway, there's a gap that I feel like needs to be filled. And I realized that gap is actually the voice of other human beings. My own perspective by itself just wasn't feeling like it was enough for pushing things along. So I decided to make this a regularly scheduled video podcast where I can bring on guests who love space. Now, this can be anybody, really. Anybody who has a love for the night sky and explores it in their own unique way. I think every single person here has their own galactic window that they look through that they should be able to share. So I think this platform, this video podcast that goes live every 2 or so weeks is the chance to allow people to share their view of the night sky with the world. So thank you again for joining in. Feel free to say hello in the chat throughout the night. Here we've got all kinds of fans who are going to be saying hello to our future guests here. I see Tony in there. We got Ella. We've got Brandon. I'm going to be able to feature all these guests. Gary, hello, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. The chat will be live all night, and I will be polling comments and questions throughout this whole conversation, and it's going to be fantastic. So if you are brand new to the Orbital Alliance channel, like I said, we do space content. I do space news videos every other week. I also do astrophotography content. So if you're interested in learning about how to take photos of the night sky, I've got videos of SpaceX Starlink, the International Space Station. I just posted a brand new video about the planet Saturn and how to capture that. So if you don't want to miss any of those fun space videos from my galactic window, why don't you consider subscribing to the channel? You can do that just below this video. Hit the little subscribe button. And if you are going to be sticking around for the night, would appreciate you guys inviting in your friends and family who might be interested in learning about space, because I think there's going to be a lot of fun things to learn tonight as well. So be sure to share the stream, like the stream. It would support the channel immensely. So thank you so much for that. All right, guys. It's time to bring in the guest of honor for the evening. Just like I said last week in the previous episode, I have been exploring the people that I know just minimally. I've had the chance to meet a community of fellow space lovers called the Astro Nerds over on TikTok. And I'm pretty active over there as well. So you can find me on TikTok at the Orbital Alliance, the same exact name. But I was invited into this community called the Astro Nerds. And I realized that there was kind of this bustling, loving, friendly, supportive group of people who love to talk about space and share space through live streams and fun, creative videos and their astrophotography. And there were so many people who I've had the chance to get to know just a little bit. And I realized all these people would be amazing people to bring onto the show. So last week we brought on Joe, Godfather Astro. You can check out that last episode on my YouTube channel. Just go to my homepage, scroll down, you'll find the Galactic Window previous episodes. And tonight is no different, bringing in another Astro Nerd. And I have had the chance to engage with this person on their particular live streams, and she's been in mine, and it's been awesome. We've had a good conversation. So I'm going to introduce to you our next guest. Her name is Samantha. She goes by Sam, and her handle is StarxxKitten. So I'm going to bring Sam in here to welcome her to the stream. So welcome, Sam, to the Galactic Window.
Hi.
Hey, welcome in. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for having me on. Just a question. I just turned a fan on, so is that okay? Can you hear it or anything?
I can hear you just fine. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
I think when you do speak, I can hear a little bit of it, but it is not intrusive. So if I got a fan going too, so I totally get it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Sam. Thank you so much for making the time to be here on this. I don't know what it's like by you, but it's kind of a mixy, cloudy, and muggy Sunday night here in Illinois, where
it is storming. It's been storming all day because we're starting to get the storms from the hurricane, and the power has been going on and off. So I apologize in advance if that happens. It's just a rainy, cold, nasty day, but it's kind of nice because you get to stay inside and not have to do anything.
Totally. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So perfect night for a podcast.
I have my trusty companion who's always with me, Jack.
Yes.
I'm StarxxKitten, and this is Astro Puppy. So
Astro Pup Jack. Oh man.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for a better co-pilot.
I couldn't. And it's cool because when I am outside shooting, he will be out there with me and he will just want to be near me the whole time. So that's neat.
Yeah, it's good to have a companion, and he seems like one of the most chill dogs to have around.
Unless you knock on the door, then he will go nuts. He's just
good guard dog.
Crazy. Yeah.
See, Jack's even got a cheering section as well.
Everyone loves him. We go hand in hand. He's like my other half. So
perfect.
Thank you for letting him join in with us.
Absolutely. I think dogs bring out the best inside of us, and I am a fellow dog owner and dog lover, so I totally get it, and I never would say no to allowing dogs on the live stream. So
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. I'm just gonna take a quick second here to welcome in some more guests. We got Joe, our guest from last week.
Hi,
on
Joe.
Episode 1. Joe, sorry I didn't have my title of the show locked in last time, but I did update your thumbnail and title on your video. You are officially the Galactic Window, Episode 1. So good to see you back. Everybody go check out Joe, Godfather Astro here. He's on TikTok as well. Astro Jack. We got all kinds of support here.
Astro Jack, that's so cute.
But yeah, to kind of bring us back around to the feature here. So Sam, I got to know you on TikTok, mostly through your live streams, and we follow each other there, and I get to see your content come into my For You page all the time. And it's so cool to see another space content creator and astrophotographer doing really cool stuff just with the things that they have and in their backyard. It's just a really cool thing that people have the power to do in the comfort of their own homes. And you get the ability to share that creativity and your work with the world at pretty much no expense. I love the stuff that you do. I think you have a really, really cool artsy edge to your produced content that you share. There's a lot of really cool, astrophoto features, and you get some cool stuff from fans and support from your community. That's amazing. You've kind of built up this love group, this support group that is around you, which is amazing. And the vibe that you have in your live streams is so wholesome and quality. And you can just tell, you bet. You can just tell, as you're streaming, you just have so much fun, and you want to be able to give this tiny little thing. Maybe it's a planet or the moon or something. I guess the moon isn't that tiny, or neither are planets, but in our perspective of the telescope, this tiny little thing, you amplify it to something so much more. And I love all of that. So I think
thank you.
There's so much to explore tonight in our conversation. And I want to talk definitely about your astrophotography, the work you've done, the photos you've created of the night sky, but also your experience as a content creator, whether it's on TikTok or wherever, whether platform. I would love to explore your feelings behind that and your knowledge that you may have gained. I think there's so many people out there who would love to hear from other content creators and what you've experienced, what works, what doesn't work, things like that. So hopefully that feels like a fun and exciting direction to go into in tonight's conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Sweet. Good deal. Let's check in here on the chat. I'm gonna Sam is the best astro nerd. Yeah.
You guys are the sweetest. I'm a crier also, so I get emotional very, very easily, and all it takes is a few good compliments to put me over the edge, and I'm like, thank you. It's just
just get the Kleenex box ready on the side so you can
yeah.
No, feelings are good. We welcome the feelings here. And just a reminder for all the guests, again, you are more than welcome to say hello and submit your questions throughout tonight's live stream. I'll do my best to check it as often as I can. I'll definitely have a dedicated section at the end where we'll kind of do more of a Q&A where it's rapid fire. Let's get as many people in as possible. But if I do select your comment, I will feature it. You will see it at the bottom. So definitely I'll be watching the best I can, and your comment might get featured. So do not be afraid to engage. A reminder too, let's keep this family friendly and wholesome. We like to respect viewers of all ages and backgrounds in our stream here. So keep things respectful, peaceful, and we'll have a great time. So cool. So let's start right up with the easy question here. You have a tag name, like a handle, which is StarxxKitten.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us why you chose that, how you came about it, and what that means to you? I would love to know the story behind it.
It actually started kind of as a joke. I worked at a bar and I was outside in the dumpster one day because a woman had dropped her wedding ring. She had thrown it away and we'd taken the trash out.
Oh no.
And so I'm in the dumpster, and I used to wear cat ears to work I don't know why. It was a weird time, and I was wearing the cat ears. I was in the dumpster, and I peeked my head up, and my friend didn't know I was in there, and he just called me a trash kitten. So it went from I just started using trash kitten on my handles on my Instagram and everything. I thought it was funny and ironic. And then when I switched to TikTok, I was like, I can't use trash can for star content. So I just switched to star. But now I feel like I am kind of locked into that. I would love to change it and come up with something more mature, better and stuff. But then at the same time, I'm like, it kind of fits in a way, you know? So I just kept it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I totally get you there on the trying to avoid like trash kitten. Maybe it's like people you're talking about raccoons, like trash pandas.
Yes. And it's funny because everybody just automatically assumes that I love cats and I'm a cat person and I'm just so into cats. But obviously, like I love dogs. I am such a dog person.
Yeah, well, maybe if you do decide to rebrand, you could use Jack as your user image and
Yes,
Star Doggy, Star Pup or something.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
But it was just kind of a mistake that it happened.
Right. And sometimes those are the best ways to come across names and whatnot. Like I always loved how in like military culture, you tend to earn your nicknames or your call signs from something like kind of like silly that you've done or a mistake that you made, I knew a guy in college. I used to be on the cross country and track teams. There was a guy who was an old alum that was like from way before I was there. He used to be known for just talking nonstop, so he earned the nickname Radio because the radio never stops talking until you turn it off, right? Like but I just think those are sometimes the most fun way. You can't manufacture those names, like, and nicknames, the best nicknames are the ones where people typically give them to you. So, props to you for kind of running with it and owning, a fun story that happened in your life,
Yeah. I know. Mind you, I did find the ring. I did find it.
No way.
So it worked out. Yeah. I was not getting out of that thing. And it was like 100 degrees out that day. So hot. I was surrounded by bees and I'm terrified of bees. That is the one thing that I am the most scared of in the world, but I did it. So
wow. I mean,
I earned it.
I mean, that tells me all I need to know about your character, that you're willing to like dive into a dumpster and find somebody's prized possession and you won't stop. So that's amazing.
I'm determined. I am determined.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible. Just a reminder, you guys, you can find Sam on TikTok. You can follow her at StarxxKitten. Have it there at the bottom of the screen for you if you'd like to support her. She does, like I said, amazing content. And if you're just joining in, we're interviewing her right now to learn about her own unique perspective of the universe through her astrophotography and space content creation. So please support our guest tonight as a thank you for spending the time with us here at the Orbital Alliance on the Galactic Window video podcast. So thank you very much in advance.
There's a comment.
Here, you got an endorsement right here. Her TikTok is always awesome. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, TikTok has been something I never thought that I would be a very active person on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day it just happened and I ran with it.
Totally. So, yeah. It is kind of weird how that can happen too. Like I actually used to be really TikTok adverse. I was like, I don't want anything to do with this. it's
Yeah,
for it's
yeah.
for Gen Z punks, and I can't handle it. And I was like, I had to learn to get over myself pretty quickly because I realized it was super fun, and I had a lot
Yeah.
to learn from Gen Z, and there was like some
Uh-huh.
really cool opportunities there. So yeah, let's dive right into that then. So like when you first started creating content, did you start on TikTok? Did you start somewhere else and kind of migrate there? Or like, where did you start? Which platform was your first when you started doing space content?
When I started doing space content, it was just TikTok
Hmm.
because I mean, I made a TikTok and it was still during pandemic time, kind of. And I was just looking for something to do in a way because I didn't have a job. I don't have a job anymore. I had a job at a bar and that closed down during the pandemic. So I was just kind of looking for something to occupy my time with. So I thought, why not try this out, you know? And I love to be able, my favorite thing is being able to actually share like what I've been working for these past few years, and not just working for, but share what I've been enjoying. And
Hmm.
I just want everyone to be able to see what I see. So to be able to do that, that's one of the reasons I got into it.
Yeah, absolutely. What's one feature of TikTok that you feel like uh, was unique compared to other platforms that like keeps you there that you really love utilizing?
Honestly, the diversity on TikTok as opposed to Instagram that I was seeing, because I was on Instagram for a short time, but it was very it was just the same kind of person over and over and over again. And I didn't have that very large audience. Like right now on TikTok, I have people that are seniors, I have people that are borderline children, and they're all in one spot. And I
Mm.
just really liked the diversity, and I liked that it was a quick swipe through app. A lot of people, myself included, don't have great attention spans. So, I mean, I think it really hooks people when you could just go through quickly like that, see what you want to see, and then move on, you know?
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think each platform has its unique strengths, and
Mhm.
sometimes it is worth noting, what maybe are some of the weaker areas so that you can come alive in a different spot. Um,
Yeah, I just I felt like TikTok was more personal and it was more easy to connect with people there,
mhm. Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. And you are also this was your chance to engage and meet the Astronerd community that I mentioned earlier in the live stream. There's a kind of behind the scenes community that was formed, I think,
Oh
through
yeah.
TikTok. There's a Discord channel full of people
Yep.
from all over the world that are just astrophotographers, lovers of space, and love to share that with people. How did you get invited and immersed into the Astronerd community?
It was my very first video that I'd posted that was space related, and I was approached by Ryan.
Okay.
Um, and he instantly took to me. He invited me into the community with open arms, and then chaos followed. Well, chaos Nix, like
Yeah.
Professor Nix. Chaos didn't. Oh yeah, in both ways, chaos followed. But Ryan reached out to me. He said, "Hey, there's this Astro family here," and eventually it just snowballed into me meeting so many new people and really, really just finding a great family, because I didn't have, like, before I came on to TikTok, I only knew one other female that did astrophotography, and now I have so many friends that do it that I could talk to about it, and it's just so cool to have such a huge group of people, you know, and there's such a great support system.
Totally. Yeah. What are some of the ways that you feel like you've uh, made connections with people? Like, did somebody help you with a technical solution, or was it just like some fun
Hon-
banter?
Honestly, everything. I've had people help me get a I mean, it went from choosing my own camera, my new camera that I got, to solving and troubleshooting problems, just to being there emotionally. You know, I've met some really great friends that have actually become personal friends, you know? So it's really an all encompassing family when you look at it. And I mean, I do have to add this though. Before TikTok, I had an amazing mentor, and his name was Eric. Well, his name is Eric, and he became one of my best friends. So I was lucky enough that I did have a really, 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 really solid foundation and a great mentor before I started making content.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's pretty critical too. Just in any area of study or your profession or hobby, like to have somebody who's kind of like just a little bit ahead of you to show you the way a little bit, and also give you
Yeah.
the, like, at the same time, give you the creative license to make it your own and make it
Mhm.
unique. And then once you're kind of like out flying on your own, then it's like you see this bigger world of other people who are doing the same thing. So it's
Yeah.
super cool.
Mhm.
So have you had the chance to meet any of the astronerds in real life, or has it just so far been a digital interaction as a whole?
No, it's only a digital interaction. I have like I'm really really open about this, but I have very bad anxiety and I have agoraphobia. So
Mhm.
I don't leave the house sometimes for years. And I have yet to meet someone in person, but I'm open to it, you know. I
For
am
sure.
open to it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And there's one of those things where it's like, if there's the right time and the right place, it's you can do it at your leisure.
Yeah,
um,
I do. I would love that.
totally. Yeah, I know there's been like rumblings at some point. I think people have talked a lot about trying to do meetups and stuff, and I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of potential for great fun, great learning. But yeah, when you meet people on the internet too, there's always a lot of that risk of like, is this something safe? Like, should I be worried about where I'm going or who I'm going with? Like, there's always that
Mhm.
layer to it too. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so let's talk about um, what sorts of videos you produce that get posted to your TikTok. Like, what are the things that you are trying to make? What types of photos and videos that you like to like wrap up in these presentations? Like, what? Tell us about your content as if perhaps like I've never seen any of them. How would you describe your work to people?
Um, my work, like you mentioned earlier, it's kind of artsy. I really try to make like an immersive experience for people, and I try to make it, I mean, as immersive as possible on TikTok. I just really really like to take people as deep in as I can to what I'm actually doing and seeing without knowing exactly what they're looking at in a way. Like
Mhm.
I try to find a song that goes with my astrophotography, and I try to make every single little element I really look into in detail to try to just make it all an experience. And the things that I like to post are basically just things that I find beautiful. Things that I find beautiful that inspire me, that make me happy, because I want to share that with everyone else. I would love to make everyone else happy. And just, I mean, I know everyone can't afford a telescope because most people don't know that you can do astrophotography. So I just
Mhm.
want to show people like, hey, look what you can do. Look what you can do from your backyard.
Right. There's this huge power that we all have access to. And maybe there's like a tiny pay barrier to a degree, but it's a lot more accessible than most people realize. Like, people think maybe that
Yeah.
you have to spend $50,000 or something like that to get a telescope, but you just don't.
Yep.
Like, most people spend a lot more on their mobile phones
Yeah.
than a beginner or intermediate level telescope.
Hmm.
It's super
Honest.
accessible.
I didn't realize it was possible until 3 years ago, honestly, because I just, it was the middle of the pandemic. I wanted something to do, and I bought a telescope, and then all of a sudden I'm in this massive astrophotography addiction.
Yeah, right. It is kind of an addiction,
So
isn't it? Because if we
yeah.
start shooting or even just looking through a telescope and doing visual astronomy, you
Mhm.
kind of start to realize just how much is out there. It's obviously an infinite vista.
Yes.
There's You can look at things that are close, like the moon or planets. You can look at things that are far away, like
Mhm.
a nebula or a galaxy, uh, star clusters, and it's kind of like, oh, there's a whole catalog of star clusters. Like, I want to see them all.
Yeah.
Like, and then you start becoming a junkie.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, it's so cool. I guess as the more you do it, you realize that the gear you started with is limited. Then you start working towards that better stuff, right?
Yeah, that's one of the ongoing problems is that you will never ever clear your list of everything that you want. I've
Right.
realized that. Like I'm in, not in like a selfish way or an obnoxious way, but like there's always something more that I'm going to want because there's always gonna be something better out there, you know?
Right. Yeah, of course.
And just to be able to explore what we do, not to show off or anything, be like, oh, I have the latest this or that. It's because, oh, I can actually see this now with that. I just actually got a new piece of equipment, and it's an eyepiece that you're going to be able to see H alpha with the sun. And so, I mean, that was absolutely necessary for me.
Right, right. Yeah,
But
you get what you need, and you keep working up the ladder, one piece at a time. And like you said, it's kind of like cars. There's you might have a really fast car, but there will always be a faster car, right? There's there's always something better, and that's okay. Like you can be happy with whatever gear you've got at the time, and just stair step your way up to the goals that you want to do. Because sometimes we shift from like end goals, like, oh, I want to shoot the moon, but it's like, oh, but now I want to do galaxies. That's going to take a different set of equipment. So let's create a pathway that gets us to that, right?
Although I have to add this. I'm a huge advocate for using what you have. If you only have a smartphone, I want everyone to know that even if they only have a phone, they can still do astrophotography, and it's not limited by money. It's great when you can buy things, but however you can do it, and use what you have, and don't feel any lesser because you don't have expensive equipment.
Exactly. Yeah, it's you're absolutely right. There's I made a video on my channel a couple months ago talking about how I think it was like how to improve your astrophotography for like $0 or something like that for like no cost. And in that, I was like, leverage the gear that you have, because if you have at least a phone, which at this point most people do, obviously don't want to make full blown blanket assumptions, but most people have phones that have a camera on it, and even the cheap phones have some level of camera. That means you can take astro photos. You can take photos of the night sky. There are apps that are free that give you more control of those cameras. That might take some education. So maybe the difference between you taking no astro photos and getting your first shot is downloading a free app and learning how to use that app to its fullest extent, and then boom, you've got your first night sky shot. It's not going to stack up to an astrophotographer who's been doing it for 15 years and has thousands of dollars of equipment, but you become an astrophotographer the moment you take a single shot of the night sky, right? So there's always more to learn. And the thing that I mentioned in my video was, if you gave the same gear that you had, whether it was like a cheap mobile phone from 10 years ago, or it's like the best equipment in the world, if you gave that to a different person, they'd get different shots than you. There was a series I used to watch. I can't remember the exact name. It was actually from Hong Kong. It was a photography channel that was like really popular, probably about 10 years ago. And it was like cheap camera pro photographer, something like that. And they used to give
I saw something like that. Something like that. And that's so cool. I love that.
They're so much fun. They would like give like the original iPhone to some pro photographer, like, here, you have like an hour to go get like 10 quality photos, like make it happen. You can't use anything else. Like just like the original iPhone had like a trash camera on it too. And then like the next photographer was they gave him like a Hello Kitty kids camera or something like that. And it was basically a disposable camera with film in it. And they're like, make good photos. And guess what? They did incredible photography, because a skilled person doesn't let the gear limit them. They have an eye that's been trained to look for opportunity with light. And that's really all photography is you're capturing light, whether it's a lot or a little. Like if you're shooting an outdoor scene in the middle of the summer at 12 o'clock noon, it's going to be bright and sunny, and there's going to be a lot of light to work with. But if you're shooting astrophotography, you have one planet that's bringing this tiny little dot of light towards you. It's up to you to determine how to manipulate that and get it into this little box that can capture it and perceive that. That's up to you to determine how that happens. And that's where the artistic edge comes out. So it's incredible what people can do with different gear. Leverage what you have, whether it's a lot or a little.
And I love that about it, because I am an artist as well, and I do painting and drawing, and I've always been super creative throughout my life. So this is just another thing that lets me and do what I want, because like you said, you can look at 10 different people and 10 different even if they use the same camera, the same exposure times, everyone's photo will be different. Like absolutely different. And I love that, because everybody can make it their own, and it's really your galactic window to astrophotography wise.
Right. Like in the literal sense, like your frame, like the frame you're looking through, your eye viewfinder or your eyepiece, like that is your literal galactic window.
And I love that. That's why when you told me about the name, I just fell in love with it. I love it so much. I can't stress how much I love it.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much.
It's so cool.
I appreciate it. Yeah. It took me a little while, probably a little longer than I'd hoped to like land the name for it. And I felt like that was the one that like was singing to me. I had a lot of other like more pun generated ones. I'm a huge pun person. So if you caught last week's stream, I think I made a handful with Godfather Astro that were I was like, man, I hope nobody's turned off the stream because these awful puns, but I'm having fun.
Yeah, that's all that matters. I mean, I feel like that's all that matters for everything is that you're having fun. As long as you're having fun, nothing else matters. Well, I mean, to a degree, but
yeah, right. There's probably a line somewhere.
Yeah, there has to be a line.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like toying with all kinds of names, and this one felt like it was meaningful in the sense that it had like a really deep, profound like meaning to it, but it also fell in line, in my opinion, with the channel name, like the Orbital Alliance. I wanted to have this sense of like almost sci-fi fantasy nerd imbued into space, like reality and space exploration. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so like the Orbital Alliance is kind of like an homage to the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars. I love that. And in a way, the Galactic Window is also kind of like this like third-party reference to the Galactic Empire in Star Wars. Like I kind of have both bases covered, whether you like the dark side or the light side. So for you Star Wars nerds out there, I got you.
I still have yet to see that. I still have yet to watch anything Star Wars, and every time I say that to anyone, they're shocked.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, I think at this point you are a rare breed, which is kind of an achievement. But I mean, I think
I want to though. I want to. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Totally. Well, I think you've got homework for this week. So until the next stream, whoever is the guest, like I expect to see you in the chat, letting me know what you thought of the first Star Wars movie.
I'll make a TikTok review. Somebody told me on my live the other day, I need to do a reaction video to the most dramatic parts and just like make a video of that. So I was like, maybe that's actually a really good idea.
There are lots of successful channels on YouTube of people who do reaction videos. And there's one in particular that I love watching. And I was watching this channel from, gosh, they maybe had like 40,000 subs or less at the time. It's called Popcorn in Bed. And it's this Canadian woman, and she like loves watching new movies she's never seen before. And most of them are like big name movies, like Star Wars, things like that. And all these like war movies, gritty war movies. And she's like, I realized there's more to cinema than like chick flicks. So she's like, I decided to share my experiences. So she would like live stream them to her Patreon, and she would do these like edited versions for YouTube. And they're so much fun to watch. You watch her reactions.
That's so cool.
Her channel is like at 350,000 subs now. And she just got invited to, she and her sister, because her sister does stuff on their channel too. They just got invited to the red carpet premiere of the latest Mission Impossible movie, and they got to meet Tom Cruise.
Wow, that's neat.
Yeah,
that is cool. That's opening doors right there just by doing content creating, and that's so cool.
Right, and like just from watching movies you've never seen and sharing your reactions with the world, that's all she's doing. And boom, you end up on the red carpet. So all that to say, if you start watching Star Wars this week, you might be on the set of the next Star Wars show, just from like, sharing your reactions with people.
That's great,
man. Well, if you do start watching it ever, I'm sure you've probably heard a lot of opinions on this. I've been a lifelong Star Wars fan since I was a kid. I would recommend starting with release order so you can enjoy it as the world enjoyed it first. So start with episode 4, the 1977 original one, and then work your way from there, and then go to the ones that were 1999 through 2005. I watched those, and then catch up to the modern stuff. I think you'll enjoy it most in that order. That'd be my recommendation.
That's what I'll do. That's definitely what I'll do, because I mean, I don't want to be lost. I don't want to start somewhere where I'll have no idea what's going on.
Right. Exactly. Totally. And I think you'll find that there's a lot of conversation to be had about Star Wars, and arguably that Star Wars is part of the reason why I got into space at all. I was like 7 when they did the re-release in theaters in 1997. They released the original movie again in theaters, and I was like, this is incredible. I actually was terrified. I was a 7-year-old kid. I did not know what it was. My dad's like, we're going as a family. I'm like, this sounds scary, and I don't know what it is. And I actually kind of threw a fit in my kitchen. And I remember my parents kind of like talked me off the ledge, and I was reluctant, and I ended up going to the theater. And I was a changed human being after that. I literally came home. I was like, that was the best movie ever. I love it. And I
Oh,
was
that's so
drawing,
cool.
I was like drawing Star Wars pictures in my first grade class the next day, and the rest is history. But it generated that interest of like, what else is out there? Can I see it? And, you know, the later events that happened in my life not too long after that were space related, like visiting planetariums or looking through a telescope. Those things were amplified for me because it felt like Star Wars was real in a way, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was that can be, you know, for anybody, whatever sort of like fantasy visualization that you have, whether it's Star Trek, Star Wars, who knows what. You know, Carl Sagan's The Cosmos. It's up to you, but like you can use those as leverages or diving platforms, like to go into something deeper. And I think there's so much potential there. But let's go into something. Is there some form of like spacey media that you are a big fan of that is something you love watching or reading or experiencing?
I love vintage space books, and my friend who lives in Texas always he lives right outside Houston, so he has all the Goodwills there that have like all the space stuff, and he sends me all these amazing books. And it's just, I love the vintage astronomy books and that kind of stuff. I like anything that has to do with space, really, like any kind of movies. Even though I haven't seen Star Wars, the rest of them, like if it has space in it, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
So,
and for viewers, just to like connect the dots there, obviously Houston is the home to Johnson Space Center, where NASA is, and there's like obviously massive space culture in that area ever since the 60s and beyond. Like between then and now, there's been decades worth of space inhabitors, astronauts, people who work for NASA, scientists, engineers. So there's probably a lot of like overflow that ends up in the Goodwill shops, and you never know who some of those old books belong to at some point.
There's just he sends me pictures, and there is just so much cool stuff, and it's like, oh, how do you not buy everything? I would be perpetually broke. I would be standing outside because he sent me a video of the space center down there. And just seeing that every day, I'd be just camped out, like looking at it. But then again, I think, would the novelty wear off? But for me, I don't think so, because I'm obsessive as a person.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. It's when you love something, like it's this autonomous machine of output of feelings and passion and like desire, right? Like, so it totally makes sense. Like I've been to Kennedy Space Center 3 times, and I thought the second time going back, I'd be like, oh yeah, I've probably seen it all and there's not much to like see again. And I'm like, no, like it's like going there the first time every single time. I can't wait to do the rounds. I can't wait to see the same thing over again, because it just gets you that much more excited. Like, watch the same IMAX movie, like space. You know? So I totally get that.
Speaking of things that got you into space, though, my mom got me this book. It was funny because I just saw it sitting there. My screen is blurry for now, but she got me this book. And my blue light went out. That's okay. She got this for me in 1997. And ever since that, I've just been obsessed.
I think you shared some of those in your TikTok content, some of the pages of that book, right? And there's one video I remember you posting that I think you tried to take a picture of the same piece of content, like same subject that was featured in that book. And you, I think, took a better picture of it, right?
Thank you. Yeah. I did. As you can see, I have tons of little, what are they? The little sticky note things. And that was what I took. I take references from them, and then I go and I try to shoot the things that I've seen in the book since I was a kid, because I just think that's such a cool thing. Like, I grew up obsessed with this book, obsessed with seeing what was in it and how they took the picture and where they took the picture from. And now I'm doing it from my backyard in a small town of 2,000 people. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah. And it's like a unique thing. Like, people can be like, oh yeah, I love this video that I've seen online about space. And it's like, that kind of everyone has access to that. But like, you get to have this physical book that no one else has. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's your version of a galactic window. It was your view.
Yes, absolutely.
How long have you had that book?
Since 1996. So wow. I was 8. I just had to count on my fingers because I'm nervous.
Totally. So you were young and you were given this chance to see something bigger, and you can just like spend your summers looking at this book and
Yeah.
learning from it, and look where it's gotten you. You know, you got into such cool
Yeah, and
places
I
because of it.
never in a million years when I was a child looking at that book did I think that I was going to be able to see that with my own eyes and be able to capture it myself. And it's in a way it's cathartic, and it blows me away every single time I see the rings of Saturn, or every time I take a new photo. Like, look, I'm like getting emotional now just talking about it. That's how passionate I am about it. But every single time there's something new or something a first for me, even seconds and thirds and fourth time seeing the rings of Saturn, it's so beautiful and healing, and I just love it. It's everything. And I
Mm,
never thought I would be here doing this, you know. So
right.
it was quite a surprise.
Yeah, it's the little seeds sometimes they get planted that turn into like the tiniest seeds that turn into the biggest trees, right?
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah. Um, who is the author of that book? Is there one author, or is it kind of like a team of people or a school that wrote
Um,
it? Or
this is David Levy or Levy. I don't know how you say it, but I did reach out to him. I
Mm.
sent him a message on Facebook, but I don't think he was that active on his Facebook. Just because I wanted to share with him the video that I made. Like, hey, you inspired me. Look what you did. You published this book, and a little 8-year-old found it, and then, well, actually, my mom got it for me for Christmas, so that made it more special.
Mhm.
But I mean, just the chain of events and stuff. If that were me, I would love to see. Like, I get messages and people tell me that I inspire them, and it just makes me like, it makes me cry every time. And so, if I was that guy, I would be like appreciating it so much. And there I go tearing up again because I'm a baby, but that's
Oh gosh.
fine.
No, it's just like powerful moments. These are deep, deep,
Yeah,
meaningful moments for you, and that's what makes this all special, right?
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
that's the reason I asked who it was, because I was curious. I'm like, what if you met this guy in real life? Like, what would you say to him? How would you act? Like, I'd be curious to know, you know?
I did send him a message, and I sent him the link to the video, and I said, just so you know, me reading this as a child, basically it saved me from myself like 30 years later, and it brought on a whole entire like lifelong obsession and passion for me. So like, he's gonna
Yeah.
open it and be like, who are you? What do you want?
Yeah, well, later you're gonna find out he simply was just he found a way to go to space. He's been traveling through space time, and
Right?
he'll get your message in like 30 years, and it's gonna be like Interstellar. Have you seen Interstellar?
I haven't.
Okay,
Wait, I might have. I might have. Who is in that one?
Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain.
Oh no, that's the one that I didn't see yet.
Okay. Also, we'll talk about that in a second because that's an amazing movie. But yeah, maybe he's out there in deep space. He just hasn't got your message yet, and
Yeah, he's just out there doing way better than I am, right?
yeah. Well, I think that's one of those things that you should continue to push on. Like, there's probably another avenue, or some people who do know how to get in
Yeah,
touch with them, and
there
at
has to
some
be
point,
some way.
yeah, right. And you know, I think that'd be incredible content to opportunity for you to
Yeah.
make. Just it's like either to share maybe an email exchange, or to like have a chance to meet this person in real life, and just kind of see the circle come all the way around.
Mhm. Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be really, really cool. So if I can find him, I mean, and I'm good at finding, not in a weird way, but like I'm good at finding people. I could find people. I need to find a way to connect with him. I'm very determined.
Yeah, yeah. Well, keep it up.
Oh,
I'm hanging on the edge of my seat, waiting to see that moment. So I think there'd be a lot of people who'd love to see that story unfold.
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. Um, let's bring it back around a little bit more into the astrophoto side of things. Let's talk about your equipment real quick. I said there's a lot of people who love to hear the technical side, and like, what
Yeah,
telescope do you use? Or there's always the question of how much does it cost. That's up to you whether you when you share that. Like, no pressure there.
yeah,
But I would be curious to like share with the viewers here tonight, like, and in the future, people who may be watching after the fact, what telescope or telescopes do you have in your possession? Maybe what cameras or mounts, like,
yeah.
and describe them as if people don't really know much about telescopes at all.
Okay. Right now, for viewing planets and viewing the moon, viewing really, really small objects, I use a Meade ETX 125 telescope. And originally it came on a base. It's a computerized telescope that moves on its own. but I took it off there because I wanted to experiment, and I put it on a mount, which is a German equatorial mount, and it's a Skywatcher EQ6R Pro. This mount is something that you use. You put your telescope and your camera on it, and it moves with the Earth's rotation. So that way you can take some really nice detailed photos of the night sky. If you take a photo of the night sky for, say, 30 seconds, you will see star trails. But when you put something on a mount, it accommodates for the rotation. So then you can get a photo that's still, and the stars are sharp, and you don't see those lines in the star trails. So I have that mount, which I use for all of my telescopes. Now for shooting galaxy, nebula, deep space objects, I use an Orion Eon 80mm scope, which I also use for the sun. It's a refractor telescope. And I also have another scope just like that, but it is a Red Cat 51. It just gives you a much broader view. So when I want to shoot, say, galaxies, I'll want to see them bigger, and I'll shoot them with my Orion Eon. When I want to do something in a bigger frame, like the Horsehead Nebula with the Orion Nebula in one photo, I'll use my Red Cat. So that's it for telescopes and mounts. As for cameras, I started out with a DSLR, and it was just unmodded, just a stock DSLR. It was a Nikon D5300, and I use that on a Star Adventure, which is another tiny mount. It's kind of like an equatorial mount. It's a beginner thing or a travel thing. And then I moved up to a Nikon D7500. I use those for other photography, not just astrophotography. But then this year, I finally upgraded to an actual dedicated astrocam. And the difference between an astrocam and a DSLR is that astrocams are made to see the different light wavelengths, whereas a DSLR isn't meant to, take photos of oxygen, sulfur channels, So that is a Skywatcher. An ASI 071. And that's pretty much my setup. I do use an ASI Air to control it, which is just like a little magic box, I call it. It connects to everything, and it powers everything. It controls everything all in one tiny box. So that's really cool.
Wow. Yeah, it's like having different telescopes or different cameras. It's almost like a golf bag where you have all the different clubs for different types of shots, right? Like you wouldn't use a putter to drive, and you wouldn't use it the other way around or whatever. There's like, I need this specific tool to achieve this certain thing. So like you have this lineup of scopes and cameras so that you can get specific shots just the way you want them. And that way you're not limited by the disadvantages of one or the other. And that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I have to add, when I first started out, I started out with a DSLR, just a camera, and a stock lens that came with it on a Star Adventure that I'd gotten for Christmas. And so I didn't have any fancy telescopes, no fancy equipment. The Star Adventure was $400, I believe, and just a used DSLR. And that was how I got my first nebula shots. That's how I photographed the Andromeda Galaxy for the first time. I got a lot of really cool deep sky shots just with a camera and a Star Adventure.
Yeah, that's incredible. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's also cool too, like to your point, like you can use like what you have around, and a lot of people have like old DSLRs laying around that maybe their parents had, or that they had from like that they used to shoot their kids' soccer games when they were kids, but they haven't touched them in a long time or whatever it is. Like those are all like entry points for astrophotos. So.
and there was a really cool video that I had seen after getting the Star Adventure, where these people show you how to take astro photos with just a tripod and a camera. You don't even need a $400 tracker. If you have the patience and you have the want to do it, you can take an astro photo with a tripod and a camera, which is so cool to me.
Yeah.
I remember like an actual like nebulosity. Like you could see the nebulosity. It's so cool.
Right. Totally. I remember taking the first shots I ever attempted with it. I had a Canon 7D probably back in like 2013, maybe whereabouts. And I remember just going to this little field just down the street from my house, and I just pointed up. I'm like, I have no idea what to do. I knew how to take photos, but I didn't know what it meant for the night sky. It was like a complete mystery. And
oh yeah.
I remember going back to my house and looking at some of the photos. I'm like, I don't know if anything showed up. And I remember catching this really horrible shot. It just was like underexposed, but I could see all the points of the Big Dipper. Like, and it was like,
but that's so cool.
Right. I'm like, I did that. Like, I could see that. Like, as up until that moment, the only time I could experience space was with my own eyes. And now suddenly I had control over it. Like, I was like, the crummiest version of it. But I was like, there's so much like to now try. I'm like, okay, well, now I can mess with this setting and see what that does. And does that make it look better or worse? I don't know. But yeah, there's so much opportunity with DSLRs and old cameras. And
I had some. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was gonna end my thought. Go for it.
I had a very, very, very humble beginning with my actual like astrophotography career. I used to sit outside on my porch. Well, I would lay on my back on my porch on the concrete with a pair of binoculars between my knees to keep it steady, looking at the sky and holding up a cell phone to the binocular lens to take a picture of the moon.
Yes.
And I remember I got craters for the first time and I posted that on social media. I was so proud of it. And now looking back at it, it's like, ooh, I mean, it's so cute. It's so nice. It's amazing. It was like a first for me. But I mean, compared to what you do now and what you could see now, it's like, come on, you know,
right. And
humble beginnings.
Like, humble beginnings. And it's just measurement of your progress, right? Like, you've come such a long way, and you're doing all these incredible deep sky photos and crazy things. Much. You know, you have a knowledge and an understanding of the equipment and what changes you can make to amplify those photos. Like, and that's cool. That's how it should be. You should be able to look back and cringe at your old stuff, right?
Yes.
Like, you have permission to cringe.
I'm so proud of all of it, even the most horrible. Like my first star photo was like just like a blob. It was terrible. It was like, you can't even tell what it is. And I am so proud of that. I show everybody like, look, this is my first thing. This is my first thing. I can't with myself.
Yeah. That's awesome. Let's check in.
I was just checking the chat because I did not check it the whole entire time. I was very nervous. I was like, I can't look at the chat because if I look at the chat, I'm going to freak out. But
yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with the best I can. And just a reminder, everyone there in the chat there, if you do have questions, feel free to post them, and we'll see if we can feature some of them as we have our conversation. So just a reminder, this is a multi-point conversation, and we'd love to have you be a part of it. So, Sam, I want to know, did you happen to find any of your favorite photos that you've taken that we can show here on the stream?
I have a few recent ones that I uploaded onto this computer. This is a brand new computer. Nice. So, I'm trying to remember how to get just the folder in here.
Yeah, like if you click share, then there's or present or whatever it is, there's a tab, and then you can select which window, I believe, and then you should be able to
okay, yeah. Don't show these tips again. Share screen. Okay, there, yeah.
Yeah, last week with Joe, we got a chance to look at his photos too, and I think that's one of the cool things.
You know what? I think I'm just gonna do this because this will be the easiest for me, maybe.
Okay.
Share system. There we go.
Yeah, it's cool to see people's work because it kind of shows your identity through like how you create and what you what you make, which is cool. So I'm excited to. We saw Joe's last week, and I'm excited to see yours and to be able to share that with people because they'll be able to learn a heck of a lot more like about who you are just from seeing the stuff that you do. So I'm excited.
I'm gonna try and go back into this and then bring my photo up here so that.
Thank you, Brittle Sync. I see your comment there. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Very nice of you to say.
So I don't know what you guys can see on your end. I don't know where to put that.
I haven't pushed it live into the. I haven't put it into the window yet. I can do that once you're ready, but I can see in the preview here in the studio that I can see Jupiter, but I can see the stream behind it. If you're able to maximize the preview.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Yeah, that's great. Cool. So I'm going to push it up here so we can see what we're looking at. So let's kaboom. There we go. Nice. We got a nice shot of Jupiter.
Yeah, that is Jupiter and the shadow of Io going over. And if you could see on the upper leftish side, basically the center, it's the moon Io right there. So that was neat for me.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on here. For viewers too, there are 4 really large moons that Jupiter has that are known as the Galilean moons. And they're famously called that because Galileo himself, back in what, the 1600s? I'm trying to remember exactly when he was kicking. He was helped develop some of the first telescopes that people would use to look at the night sky with. And even with some of the simplest telescopes that you could possibly get your hands on, you can see around Jupiter these 4 Galilean moons. You can see them for yourself. So Io is one of them. I think it's Io, Callisto, Ganymede, and
Europa.
Europa. Thank you. Yeah. So there's 4 of them, and they all are constantly moving. Like if you came back in a couple of hours, even they'll be in different positions, and they're all orbiting Jupiter. So in this picture, Sam, do you want to explain what's happening again with Io? Like, why are we seeing 2 dots?
It's it's actually like a transit across the surface of Jupiter. It's moving in front of Jupiter. So what you're seeing there is the black part right there is the shadow of the moon, and the actual moon is on the side of it, getting ready to transit.
Yeah.
I also do have my phone up with this open so I could read your comments, even though I can't see them on my screen right now. Just so you guys know, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm just reading the comments still to respond to you guys.
You're fine. No worries. Here, I'm going to mute that. There we go. I was getting a little bit of feedback, I think, from the screen share, and then I realized I could mute it. So now it's not coming through. So sorry, folks. There was things, my voice was repeating coming through there. Yeah. So like if you were on Jupiter, then that's the equivalent of seeing an eclipse, right? Because that moon is eclipsing the sun.
Yeah. It's transiting it and it's eclipsing it. It's so cool. It's so cool. I stayed up until like 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning to get that. So.
Oh, that's so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, this is on my bucket list, is to capture a transit and to see these shadows. So it's like amazing to see like someone nail it, you know?
Thank you. Yeah, there's a really cool website that gives you, it'll show you Jupiter at the top of it, and then it will show you where all the moons are. It'll show you where the Great Red Spot is to plan your photos so that you're not just going out there saying, oh, I hope I could see it, and then taking all your stuff out, realizing you can't, and then going in.
Right.
Oops. Well.
Yeah. Transition.
This computer is very touchy. Whoa. It's very new. And so yeah.
Yeah.
It still catches me sometimes.
That's okay. No, I get that.
But this is the Helix Nebula, and it is also known as the Eye of God. And I have been wanting to get this shot ever since I started my astrophotography career. I never thought I'd be able to get it because where it rises, it's very, 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 very low. It's so low that I had to really, really take a few nights just to get, I think I have 3 hours of data on it. And for those of you who don't know, in astrophotography, we take multiple photos that they range between a minute long and 7 minutes long. Well, however many. For me, my max is 7. Other people can go longer. But we take a few hours worth of this data and then stack it on top of each other to get detail, remove noise, just make it a lot better. So I really struggled just to get enough time. And I'm so happy that I finally caught it.
Yeah, that's amazing. It looks really crisp and really sharp, like given the situation that you're in with your geographical position. So if you like maybe moved south or something like that, would you have a better opportunity to shoot this?
It really depends on, well, for me, it depends on like geographical features, like mountains and basically just where you're at. I know someone who lives in the mountains who can't ever see this at all. Like he
Mm.
never ever gets a chance to see it. So if you're somewhere with a lot of clear skies on clear views of the horizon, that's your best bet to get it.
Gotcha. Okay.
The
Yeah.
main thing is that basically that you have as much of a view of the horizon as you possibly can. And that's really true for any target you want to get in some ways, you know, because
sure.
some of them really just don't rise up very high.
Yeah. Last week with Joe, Godfather Astro, we were able to talk about through some of his shots, just how fun it is to experience the creative names that astronomers have given, or people throughout time have given to these nebulas and stuff. Like we were looking at the North American Nebula, and I think it was like the Pelican, and then this, like the Eye of God. There's the Pillars of Creation. There's all these really cool, fun names. So like here, you obviously can see this. It looks like an eye. It looks like there's an eyebrow up to the upper right there.
Yeah.
And do you have any insight for our viewers here on why this looks the way it does, and why does it just so happen to look like an eye?
I see, this is one of the times I get so nervous sometimes when I'm answering technical questions, because there's people like Chaos, Nixie, and there's so many super intelligent, well-versed astronomers on TikTok. And then here's me, who was like a baby basically coming in 3 years ago. So when anybody asks me this technical stuff, I just blank because I get so nervous, and I'm afraid even when I know the answers, I will be hesitant to say anything, because I'm like, am I gonna phrase this exactly correct? I don't want anybody coming at me, because I've had trolls on TikTok and they're like, you said this and it's really this, and it's the smallest most minute little tiny detail that I had off, and it's just like I'm still working through that.
Yeah, no worries at all. I don't want to push you past your comfort zone. I'd be happy to give some insight. I've learned a little bit about these, so I think that this particular one, I think, is a good example of a planetary nebula. And it's cool to see your shot of it, because this is basically, I think, the remnant of a dying star, a star that has died. So it's like shed its layers outward, and what's left is, I think, a white dwarf, or in some cases there might be other types of like remnant bases. So you see all these gas layers just get pushed off into the nothingness. The star has not been able to sustain its like fusion, and it just explodes essentially. So if there were people on the planets that were orbiting that star, they are no more.
See, yeah.
And this is what we get to see. You had something to say?
You just worded that so much more eloquently than I could ever. I mean, I'm okay if I'm doing like a pre-recorded video, or if I'm talking to someone one-on-one in person, I could explain all this. But for some reason, when I am on the internet and I'm in a live forum when I know people's watching, it's like every intelligent thing I've ever had enter my brain just goes out the window, because I just kind of, I get very cautious and very nervous about explaining, because I like I said, I'm a baby at this, and I don't have any degrees. I'm not qualified or anything. I do it because I love it, you know, and I get nervous.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm too. I don't have a degree in this either, so we're both just two fans who love this stuff. And look, you've got lots of support here. There people saying you're intelligent.
That's so sweet, guys. Thank you so much.
Because you're humble and
Gary,
cautious.
we
it's
are
all
looking
good.
into the past.
Yeah, let's feature that here. So we're looking into the past. This is a really great question. Yeah, basically, anything that you can see with your eyes, whether it's the person across the room or something in deep space, is technically happening in the past, or it's like you're seeing the light from the event that happened at some point in time. So obviously, that amount of time with the person across the room from you is so infinitesimally small, like you're not going to really be able to measure it. But with things in space like these nebulas and other objects, like, yeah, it's going to be tens of thousands of light years away, millions of light years away, in some cases, and they're very, very old depictions or images of those objects or those things. So definitely, yeah, it's like, it is like looking in the past. So if you were to be able to be transported instantly to that place, it likely looks very different than the picture that Sam has shown us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good question. Thank you, Gary. Cool. Yeah, you want to talk to us about this next picture? What do you got?
This is the Elephant Trunk Nebula, and I really wanted to shoot that this year because it was one of the first targets I ever attempted in my life. And it is literally just like my first photo is a tiny little smudge. It's just unrecognizable of anything. And so this was a photo I thought I'd never ever get. I never thought I would be able to capture something like this. And when I did this year, it was just one of those things where it's like I officially made it to a point where I'm really, really happy with my work.
Wow. And there you go. Another super fun name, the Elephant Trunk Nebula. Can you point that out for us using your mouse on the screen? Like where is the elephant features?
Sure, I can. It's funny because Brandon is in the chat. He and I had a huge discussion over this. He could not see it. He could not understand where it was, and that's okay. I think, I mean, I don't know the technical place it is, but I look at it like the elephant trunk is right here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that where you see it? Because that's where I see it.
Yeah, it is a little bit tricky. And it's like those seeing eye books where they have like a blob of something and you kind of a picture appears.
You have to go in and then
yeah, exactly. I was never able to get those work as a kid. So maybe I'm just still perpetuating that problem as an adult. Yeah, it's weird. I kind of see a couple different options. Like, yeah, obviously that prominent piece there on the left, I think it probably is the big feature that they'd be talking about. Like,
yeah,
like, even like that darker void in the upper right, it kind of looks like the forehead of the elephant. Maybe that little dark one with the like
right here looks like a crocodile with two eyes and this little snout.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to refer to it as the crocodile nebula from now.
Yeah, the Croc Lagoon Nebula. Oh, but there is a Lagoon Nebula already, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I did that one this year.
Oh my gosh, someone said that's Charizard. Yeah, it does look like Charizard for the Pokemon.
Maybe I'm totally wrong as to where I see the trunk. Well, no, because I was reading when I was researching this object, they said that the trunk is a stellar nursery because new stars are being formed there. So this has to be it then.
Yeah. I liked someone I know told me, once about like humans need to fill in the space. Like you can't sit there like without explanation for very long.
Yeah.
Like it's the reason why people look at clouds, but like that looks like a dog or that looks like
me.
A pig.
That's me. I love that.
Right. Like it's an inherent human trait to try to assign meaning to something that has no meaning otherwise. And but there is beauty in that. And I like my friend Nathan put it Rorschach tests, like the whole point of that like kind of psychological test is to be like, what do you see? Because there is something there and you can maybe draw a learning from it. So like with this, the elephant, like maybe there are multiple elephants we can see here and every one of us might see it differently.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's beautiful.
Thank you. That's one of my favorites that I've gotten so far because I'm a girl and I am a very girly person. And as much as I want to be this serious scientific astrophotographer who's just into space, I like hearts, I like pink, I like girly stuff, So this is the Heart Nebula.
Yeah, wow. I mean that one we can see. That one's very clear.
Yeah.
So all of these deep sky images that you have with these gas clouds, these nebulae, can you tell us what gear do you use or processing that brings out the colors? How do you get the colors?
Well, any of the red is very, very, very apparent, even if you're using a DSLR. Well, I mean, on a fairly bright nebula, you're going to see a lot of the hydrogen. I did get an Optolong L Ultimate filter, which enhances that. And I do go into PixInsight and I change the brightness, I bring up the saturation, I split the color channels and I enhance them a bit because like I said, I am an artist. I was an artist before I started doing this. So I really like, I know a lot of people go for the more natural look when they're doing space photography, but I really like the dramatic, bold colors. I like seeing something that looks like you would see in a movie, over dramatic, overstated, just really artsy kind of spins on it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the chance where you get to assign your own identity to it, right? Like you can
Yeah,
choose how you want it to look.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's like, if you look through the eyepiece of a telescope without a camera and you were to look at something like this, if you are able to see it at all, because your eyes are just like so small,
Yeah.
maybe compared to like a camera sensor. Sorry, I just saw this comment that cracked me up.
Oh yeah, he is. That's actually my friend who lives in Texas that sends me all the books I was talking about.
Yeah.
He's a funny one.
Yeah. Sorry, I was like mid thought. I happened to glance over the comments and that just derailed me 100%, but in the best way possible.
Yeah,
that
he's
was
good
awesome.
at that. He's really good at that.
Well done. But if you looked through at a nebula or a galaxy, something like this, through your telescope, if you could see it at all, it would tend to be this like grayish blob, right? Like you can't really see detail. The color isn't there. So astrophotographers like yourself would go into post-processing, or in their cameras they'll assign filters with certain chemical makeups that it's searching for, or that only allows certain wavelengths through. So like depending on the particular composition of that gas cloud that we're looking at, like whatever that is, I don't know what the answer is, but like the reds would tend to come through more prominently versus like the Helix Nebula you showed us before, the Eye of God one. That's got orange and yellow and blue. Those would be different chemical compositions. So you might use a different filter or a different technique to help accentuate those, because you would lean into the composition. So I think that's cool that you've been able to demonstrate that concept through different photos.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really, really interesting to me, because when I first got my first scope, before I did any photography, I did a lot of visual observation. So I looked at the Andromeda Galaxy, I looked at the Orion Nebula, and to be able to see a difference from what you see with your eyes to getting it on camera and being able to bring the details out and the colors out and make it come to life, it's crazy. It's out of this world. That was so cliche, but
there's the pun. I mean? There it is. Yes. Bring your pun game. Yeah. There we go.
But as in here, as you can see, so this is a very, very hydrogen rich photo and area. And then down here, you could see some of the blue, which is the oxygen channel, like right in this area.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's neat. And I never knew any of this until, like I said, 3 years ago, when I just was sitting at home bored, and I had money saved for a car. And I was like, you know what? I want a telescope. I want to see the rings of Saturn. That was my only thing. I didn't know anything about telescopes. And my only requirement was I want to see the rings of Saturn. I did not know anything about it. So I went and I searched on, I think it was Amazon. And I looked through the telescopes that they had, and the one featured the rings of Saturn on the advertisement. And I was like, I'm getting that one. I'm not going to look at anything else. I'm not going to ask anybody any questions. I just got it. And I mean, for me, it was a great choice, because it forced me to learn the night sky by myself, you know, without something high tech. And I did spend a lot of nights out there just freezing, just trying to manually find things. Because even though even though some of those telescopes come with like a computerized go-to, they don't go to, you know, it's off. You have to find it yourself. And I love that, because it really made me appreciate what I have now. And it made me appreciate what I got back then. To spend like 3 hours in the dirt and on the ground and just freezing and manually trying to find a target, to then getting a photo of that, it really, it made it worth it. Like I had to work for it, and that was cool to me.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you said you were like, I was saving for a car, and then just said nope.
Yep. I was like, I don't need this. I could deal without it for now.
Yeah.
My old car, the engine had exploded in my previous car. Oh no. And I was just like, oh well, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna save for a car. No, I need to see the rings of Saturn immediately. It's a pandemic anyway. I don't need to be driving. I need to be looking at the rings of Saturn.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, that's perfect.
Oh.
Doesn't that ever make you think like, you were explaining to me the difference between in that picture, the last one, with the red being the hydrogen and the blue being the oxygen, coming
Yeah.
through. Like that's such a cool thing to know. And it makes you wonder too, like how many people you just drive by on the road who know things like this. Like people
Yes.
drive by you all the time or walk past you in the grocery store, or whatever it is. Like, and they like have no idea what colors come through in an astro image because of
Yeah,
the
I
chemical
wanna
composition.
that's a really, really, really neat thought, because now I'm gonna be like, what do you know? What do you
Yeah,
know about anything? Is there something cool you know about something that I don't know? You know?
exactly. Yeah, and that's the power of people, right? Like there's so much
Yeah.
cool stuff. Um, and you have that ability to just like share that cool perspective with people, and you could wow so many folks, and certainly like children too. It could be like if you like
Yeah.
did like a star party, you had like neighborhood kids over looking through your telescope and be like, do you want to know why this
Yeah.
looks red, you know?
It's so cool, and I love doing that. I'll be out and have my stuff set up out back, and people will stop and talk to me and ask me questions, and I just think it's so cute and it's so neat, and um it's one of the most rewarding things that I have personally experienced. Like it's funny that I love bringing this up, and I tell everyone, like, I think one of the neatest things is just seeing people's reactions to seeing the rings of Saturn for the first time in with their own eyes. Like, I just think it's so special and so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, speaking of Saturn and planets, here's a transition to your next photo. Like let's take a look at this one, because this looks like something much closer than a nebula.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about this one?
This is Venus, the planet Venus, and I just recently started imaging it this year. I don't know why. I don't know why. I've never ever tried before this year, but I had gotten up in hopes of seeing the comet that was coming by the Earth, which I couldn't see because the horizon was blocked and it was too low. But I decided, since I have all my stuff out, I might as well take a photo of Venus. And I really didn't think I would fall in love with Venus as much as I have, but there's just something about it, and it's like so sci-fi and it's so pretty, and I just love it. I just really love it.
Yeah, there's so much to see here. Like capturing planets like Venus, like it's obviously the closest celestial body other than our moon. It's in terms of distance. So there's so much potential for light capture, and to bring detail out in it. So
Yeah.
here, you can see, a little bit of like probably atmospheric glow just from our atmosphere looking through it, but even Venus's atmosphere, and some of its cloud detail, and that's just, it's amazing how sharp you managed to get it. You can see different shades of color. Like there's a bright yellow where the sun is shining brightest. It starts to taper off to a deep orange down at the kind of the poles, like the North and the South Pole. That helps give it like a shape and a contour. That's incredible.
I was super happy with that. I just really, really like Venus now. I just turned into a Venus. I've just started studying it. I've started reading about it. I really enjoy it now.
Yeah. Here's a comment that actually brings up a really good point. I'm over here thinking it's the moon.
Yeah.
And this is what's so cool about interior planets, which in our solar system are only Venus and Mercury, the planets that are closer to the sun than us, actually will be some of the only planets that actually will show phases just like the moon. So you're not wrong. Like it would be totally correct to assume that this would be the moon, because that's all we generally know, is that the moon phase changes. You get these little sliver crescents, you get full moons, you get these kind of like half first and third quarter moons. But Venus will do the same thing, and we get the chance to see most of the phases. We'll never see a full-faced Venus, because if we do, we'd be looking directly through the sun. So that part of it is actually not possible to us, because that's kind of like based on where it is around in orbits. But right here, you get the opportunity to see this beautiful crescent. And believe it or not, this is actually still super bright to our naked eye in the sky. If you were to see one just like this, even though most of it is not illuminated, you can still see Venus very clearly, like super bright. One of the brightest things in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So yeah, is there anything else you want to add about this photo? Something that might have made it,
I
dramatic?
don't think so. I don't think so.
Cool.
But that is the last of the photos that I have because I did have a lot of duplicates. So
Okay. Cool.
whoa.
Well, let's get there. I'll remove it there.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
We got the infinite abyss of windows. There we go. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of those amazing pictures. That's super kind of you
thank you.
to present that, prepare that, and I think everybody got quite a bit of wow factor from all those.
Thank you so much again for having me on here because it's just such a cool idea. Again, it's really neat and it's really fun, and I'm glad that you're doing this.
Totally, yeah. Let's just turn here really quick before we, we can, if you're up for it, we're happy to keep things going just a little bit, unless you're feeling like it's time for to retire. But we'd love to invite any questions for Sam here on the chat. So this is a really good time to ask all kinds of questions. What do you want to know about space, astrophotography? What is it like to be a content creator, sharing your vision of creativity and art with the world? Maybe it's something personal. We were talking about movies, like space movies or space books. Like, would love to hear any questions that you guys out there might have. I'm also going to take this moment to give Sam a little bit of break. I'm just going to kind of hone in on my channel really quick, just to give you guys a little bit of an explanation, because some of you may have come in to the game a little bit later. But my name is Nick, and I run this channel, The Orbital Alliance. And this right here that you're watching is my live video podcast that I just started this month. It's called The Galactic Window. I'll be doing 2 episodes every month. So this is episode 2. I did have a previous episode at the top of September. You can go and watch that if you missed it, with Godfather Astro, another fellow astrophotographer, just like me and just like Sam. And it was an amazing conversation, a lot of fun. And I would love for you to check that out. And as we go forward, I'm going to be scheduling all kinds of guests with people who just love space, who love to learn about space, explore space, and share space. So do consider subscribing to the Orbital Alliance channel, just so you can see all those future episodes as they come out. I'm currently looking at I got somebody right in the bullpen here for the first 2 weeks of October, and then we'll have another one coming up in the last 2 weeks of October. So kind of look at it as like halves of a month. So each episode will happen at some point in the first half and some point in the second half. And I'm really excited because there's so much potential. There's obviously there's I'm never going to run out of cool people to talk to. Like there's going to be this huge line, I think, of people that I can make requests to and ask and build relationships with. And you just never know where that might end up. So I'm really looking forward to it. Additionally, on my channel, if you're just interested in space at all, you don't need to be educated in any way. If you just want to learn something about space, I do a twice a month orbital space news video series too, where I kind of give like what's the latest in the space world, like what's happening. So maybe I'll tell you when the next like big rocket launch is coming up, or what astronauts just went up to space, have come back, or something like that. Like when you might be able to go to space, like those kinds of things. Like there's so much happening in the space world, and it is hard to keep up with. But something that I do for fun and as a hobby is I keep up with all of the different social platforms of all different space rocket companies, space agencies, astronauts, and like other like news agencies that cover space. So I try to tune into like what the most important things are, and I try to bring those together. What are like the best 3 to 5 things that happened these past 2 weeks, and then share that with you. So even if that is just something you can, watch just here and there to start to get a grasp on the space world, I think that'd be great for you. Again, I also do astrophotography myself, so I love to share the content that I make with people on my channel too. So you can learn a little bit about, space station photography or SpaceX Starlink, planetary photography. Those are some of the things that I like to focus on. So there's lots of content for everybody, whatever you're interested in. So would definitely appreciate your support here on the Orbital Alliance as well. Gonna also use this chance to bring things back around here and ask you to please support Sam. So she is primarily posting space content to TikTok, and you can follow her here at StarxxKitten, and she does amazing videos sharing her latest work with the TikTok universe. She also does incredible live streams of planets and the moon, so you can come hang out with her there, and she'll guide you through her personal star journey on TikTok. So do please support her as a thank you for giving us her time tonight. But yeah, again, I'll just give let's see, another, let me take a look at the chat.
Gary said, what is the best thing you captured by accident?
Yeah.
I, in the beginning of my astrophotography hobby, I was doing it manually, and I had just wanted to get a photo of the stars, and I ended up getting a galaxy or a nebula. I don't remember which it was, but it just stood out, and I was like, this is so cool. I'm going to take a photo of this. And then I moved the camera a tiny little bit, and I couldn't get it again. But I do have a 30-second capture where it is just this beautiful little galaxy in the middle, and I didn't even know it was there until I took the picture, which was really, really cool.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's I think that's kind of like a neat like piece of the astrophotography pie is accidental happenings.
Yes, it's so cool and so fun.
Yeah, if you do enough astrophotography, and you don't have to do that much, I think, to be one of the people who gets kind of this random event that occurs that you couldn't plan for. I've had a couple. I just saw that Godfather Astro Joe just shared one that he captured. He captured a meteor in the middle of like a galaxy shot.
Yes, yeah, that was beautiful. That was neat. I saw that and I got so excited.
It doesn't take too much for accidental things to happen, and you kind of get to wear those things as like a badge of honor, right? Like you get to wear your experience, like this galaxy, like that's something you got by accident. Like, it's tough to reproduce that, and you don't want people to reproduce that necessarily, because then it's like it wasn't an accident. You got to experience it as an accident. That's super cool.
I was reading out loud.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I'll be happy
What
to.
is something you're hoping to capture that I haven't yet? That is a hard one. I have such a big list of things that I would love to capture. Honestly, this is so funny. I want to say that I'm going to put this in this category, the Milky Way. I want a proper Milky Way shot because I still haven't gotten one. I've gotten one out my window and it's semi decent, but I want a nice Milky Way photo.
Totally. So. Yeah. Well, do you still have that DSLR?
I do. I have both of them. I have two of them, and I need to go one day and just take advantage of some dark skies and do it.
Totally. Yeah. Do you have any like wide angle lenses that you have access to?
Yeah, I actually met a really nice guy on TikTok, and he sent me one of his really nice wide angle lenses that he just doesn't use anymore because he switched to, I don't know if he switched to Sony or he switched to Canon, but I'm on Nikon. So he gave me that lens, and it was just so sweet of him.
Wow, that's really generous. See, that's the power of the community.
Yeah, it blows me away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gotten I've gotten birds and planes and stuff through my lives, and that's always so fun and it's so cool. It's just like, it's so exciting. Anytime I see anything fly through, like that's like the happy accident thing too. That ties into that too. It's just like, you see all this really, really neat stuff happening. And the first plane I ever caught was when I was trying to focus my camera for the first time. And it was just neat. It was neat. I saw it fly right in front of the moon, and I started screaming, and everybody in the house thought that there was something wrong. And it was so cool.
It's like Bob Ross with happy little accidents or happy accidents. Yeah. Oh, here, Joe just said it. I knew I read it somewhere. Yeah.
Yes.
Happy accidents are the best. Yeah. And it's like, it's something that I think is a key component to astrophotography, is acknowledging the environment that we exist in, which is this bubble of the Earth, and there is never a calm moment on planet Earth.
Never, ever.
Right. There's clouds, there's birds, there's bugs, humanity is traveling, there's planes, there's exhaust plumes, there's all kinds of things that get in the way, and those are some of the coolest things to capture, is the things that maybe you would otherwise write off as an inconvenience or a problem, end up being these like wonderful happy accidents. So that's really cool.
It really is. It really is.
Oh, here's a fun question in regards to the stream tonight. How do you feel about this experience? How do you feel this experience went? after freaking out all day, now that you've absolutely nailed this.
I loved it. I loved it. It was so fun. It was really neat. I mean, I wish I wasn't so fidgety the whole time, because I realized I did this like the whole entire podcast, but I was just so nervous about the whole thing, because like I said, I'm basically a baby in the community, and I already have really, really bad anxiety. Astrophotography in space is one of the ways that I cope with it. I find like peace in it and stuff. And so putting myself out there like this was terrifying to me. Absolutely terrifying.
Well, I'll second it. Go ahead.
I have to say, after I talked to you the other day, because we did a practice call before this, and I can't thank you enough, because you made this so safe, so inviting, and so fun. And you were just so extremely conscientious about everything. Every single thing you took into consideration, and I appreciate that so much.
Wow, thank you. That's so kind of
you
to say. Yeah,
you're so professional while being so laid back and fun.
I really appreciate that feedback. That's really nice to hear. I do try to cover as many bases as possible, and that's one of the things that like my own background has helped me establish over time. Like I mentioned to you, I used to work in the church production world, and I would do live experiences every single week for years. I worked in the church for over 5 years. So every week we had a new service, and we were a very contemporary church. So like we would have, it's like a show, a concert almost. Like it's dark room, bright lights, colored lights. Yeah, full stage production. We have guest speakers, singing, all the different things you have to like balance, the creative experience, like all that stuff. And then eventually with COVID, we had to learn how to stream all of that remotely. So like after doing that for years, it sort of just felt like this was the end purpose of all of that, was to help me use those skills for the thing that I love the most, which is space. So it's just nice to be able to see all those roads come together, and I'm glad to hear that that's coming across well and is helping my guests be comfortable. That's really nice to hear. So thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything that you are working on currently that you feel like people should know about or be excited about coming up, maybe on your TikTok? Any streams you're planning? I know the moon's coming around, or anything like that we should be paying attention to?
We're going to be getting back into some moon live streams coming up. I'm so excited because I'm getting a new eyepiece, a solar eyepiece. So be on the lookout for new solar streams, as well as another. It's a secret. There's something coming, but it's a secret. It's I could give you more information next week about it, because I'm going to be getting a preview, which I could show you on my TikTok. But just basically new sun streams with a new device. I'm getting, I don't know when. It's still on back order, but it's coming. So basically just new live streams and a secret.
Cool.
I can't elaborate. I'm not allowed to. If I could elaborate, I would elaborate, but I'm not allowed to elaborate on it. But it's neat. It's fun.
Yes. All good. Well, I'm excited to see your streams myself for the sun. I would like to be educated a little bit more about solar eyepieces too. So you'll have to take me to school.
Awesome.
As soon as you get
it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes. Well, I will I would like to thank you one more time just for spending, look at this, an hour and a half with us this evening for our second episode of the Galactic Window. Thank you, Sam, for sharing your love of space, your passion for people, and helping people get to know the universe through your Galactic Window. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate you and everything you do. Thank you again. And just, I appreciate you.
Yeah, you bet. Well, I'm going to go ahead and exit your call here, and I'll remain on the stream just for a couple more minutes. And
okay.
So let's say one more goodbye to everybody in the chat. Everybody.
Yeah, thank you everyone in the chat for being here. I appreciate you guys so much.
If you're in the chat, let's spam it really quickly. Just everybody say thank you to Sam. Send her your love and your best from wherever you are around the world. Let's see a couple of those coming in here. Say hello and thank you to Sam.
Thank you so much, guys.
There we go. We got a couple coming in here. Great job from both of you.
That is awesome.
Great job, Sam. We got Joe saying some. We got thanks, Sam.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Great show. See, so much love. All right, thanks. Thank you, Sam. Hope you have
thank you so much.
Wonderful rest of your night, and we'll talk to you soon.
You too. Thank you.
See ya. Oh, I totally cut her off, right? She said bye. Sorry about that, Sam. Well, everybody, I just wanted to say thank you to each one of you viewers who have come out here tonight to spend your Sunday evening with the Orbital Alliance. It means a lot to me to see everyone here. Again, if you're brand new, would really, really appreciate your support here for the channel so that we can keep this podcast going forward every single week. Please consider subscribing to the Orbital Alliance. And if you haven't already, I would totally appreciate your like on this video, this live stream, as you have it below. There's a little thumbs up. Definitely go click that. And also, if you know somebody who would love this conversation, you can share this video after the fact. They'll just be able to watch the whole replay. As soon as this is over, it's going to be available for replay. So you can come back and watch it again, or you can send it to somebody who you know might love it. So all of that is greatly appreciated. It helps out the channel immensely. So thank you for that. And again, this coming up in the beginning of October, we're going to be doing the next episode. So episode 3 of the Galactic Window is coming up within the first 2 weeks. I'm currently landing the date. So stay tuned to YouTube, where I'll be doing community posts within my feed on the channels. Some of this will pop up in your stream, your live feed, if you are subscribed to me. So you'll see me bring up notes there. You can also follow me on Twitter, which is now X. You can find me on X. I do post there some updates as well. And I'm also on TikTok. You can find me at the Orbital Alliance there on TikTok. I believe on Twitter, I am at Orbit Alliance YT for YouTube, because the Orbital Alliance was taken. So unfortunately, I got to find that person and pay him a check to help me get that handle back. But you can find me on basically every platform. I am on Instagram as well. I'm not as active there, but you will find some old posts there that are still fun to look at. So stay tuned for the updates coming up on episode 3 of the Galactic Window. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Again, thank you everybody for being here. Just throwing in a couple more comments thrown up here. So appreciate every single one of you who are here the whole time, supporting Sam and listening to her amazing story. So thank you. And I'm going to end just as I normally do in all my videos. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys. And I will see you all on the other side.